Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I bring you my predictions for this Saturday's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Should be a fun one. It's going to be on Peacock / WWE Network if you're outside the U.S. At 3 p.m. Eastern. So find your time frames there. It is going to be a fun afternoon show because this is taking place in London, England. So, first UK show for WWE in a while. Since SummerSlam 94, I think it was. So yeah, let's get into the predictions, where we kick off with the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Now, if you are unfamiliar with the Money in the Bank match concept, it is a multi-person affair, no pinfalls, no submissions. You just gotta climb the ladder, get the case, which in it has a contract where you can cash in on either brand's champion at any time you want. So you got one for the men, we'll talk about that one a little later, and one for the women. Now we're going to cover the women's match here. Participants, we got Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, bit of a newbie, Bayley, and Io Sky of Damage Control, and WWE legend taking part in her first ever ladder match, Trish Stratus, who is also the mentor to Zoe Stark. I know a lot of people out there are thinking, oh, Io Sky's gonna win, and I would be absolutely fine with that. But I think for the women's division, I think you go a little out there. I think you go with the woman who's been getting some really nice support lately, and give her a prize. Give her something to have. And I think that's Zelina Vega. Like, I know it's an out there pick, and more than likely it's not going to happen. I would like to see Zelina Vega succeed a little bit. Now, does that mean she cashes in and wins the title? Who knows? But I do think she deserves at least the Money in the Bank. Next up, a bit of an interesting matchup going on. You have Cody Rhodes taking on Dominic Mysterio. This is going to be an interesting one because Cody still has Brock to contend with, and more than likely he's going to face Brock at SummerSlam. So, here's what I'm thinking. I think Rhea Ripley causes a ref bump. Out comes Brock Lesnar. F5 to Cody. And Dominic beats Cody, which that will perfectly set up the match for Brock Lesnar. And plus, this loss doesn't really hurt Cody at all, and it helps Dom a little bit more. So, I think that would be better for both parties. So, yeah. Next up, bit of an interesting matchup and a rematch from the 2017 SummerSlam to crown the first ever Universal Champion. You have Seth Rollins defending his World Heavyweight title against Finn Balor. This matchup is interesting because in the men's Money in the Bank, we'll get to it, you have Balor's Judgment Day partner, Damian Priest, in that match. And I think what would be interesting is maybe Finn Balor wins here and then Priest wins the briefcase. I think that would be a much more interesting story. But then you can also have Seth Rollins win and then Priest win Money in the Bank. Maybe teasing a cash-in for the match. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here. But I think overall, Seth Rollins is going to win. He's going to have a little bit more decent run. Maybe not as big as, like, Roman Reigns. But I think he deserves a decent little run. Maybe at least until SummerSlam. So, still World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. Next up, what's probably going to be the main event, you got what remains of the Bloodline, that's Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, taking on their former partners in the Bloodline, Jimmy and Jey Uso. And, Usos recently just left the Bloodline, and now they're kind of on their own. So, this one is, I'm kind of on the fence on, because obviously you'll have Roman wins lull. But then you would have the more interesting story with the Usos winning and then being elevated to the main event scene. So, I know I may get a little hate from this, but I think the Usos are going to get the win. Maybe with a little help from Owens and Zayn, although they've been saying they don't care about this story anymore, so we'll see what happens. Either way, I think the Usos get the victory. Next up, the Women's Tag Team Championships are on the line as Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler defend against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Liv Morgan obviously recently coming back from injury, reteaming with the partner who, because of that injury, they had to relinquish their titles. And, current champions have them. So, interesting enough story, I guess, but I think Ronda and Shayna are going to keep these titles for now. Next up, for the first time in a pretty long time, the Intercontinental title is on the line as Gunther takes on Matt Riddle. Riddle has pretty much been at odds with Imperium the entire go-way. But I'm thinking WWE are big on Gunther right now. And I think they're going to push him until he beats the Honky Tonks Man's Intercontinental title reign. So, I think Gunther wins here. However, post-match is where we get a little interesting. I think the whole of Imperium are going to beat down Matt Riddle. And then out making the save, it's not Owens and Zayn. It's Matt Riddle's former tag team partner and man coming back from injury, the Viper, Randy Orton. It has been way too long since Randy Orton's been in a ring. He's been dealing with a pretty big injury. And rumor has it he's about to be coming back. So I think post-match, I think this is a pretty good spot as any to have him return and team up with his former partner. And Fine Alamo for the predictions. We got the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And instead of 6 participants, we have 7. So we have Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, L.A. Knight, yeah! We have Santos Escobar, Butch, Damian Priest, and probably the most hated man on the internet, Logan Paul. And there are some decent options here. Obviously, a lot of people want LA Knight to win. I'm not really in that boat. Because then you run into the same problem, Austin Theory did last year with Money in the Bank, trying to cash in on Roman when he's not around. So, I don't think LA Knight is winning it. I think the 2 biggest options here are either Logan Paul, because he's, mainstream superstar. He'd get more eyes on the product, which makes sense. Or the person with the most interesting story going into this, Damian Priest, who has been at odds with the Judgment Day boys for a little bit now. So I'm going to go Damian Priest. Yeah, and yes, I know he has had his challenge for the World Heavyweight title, but I think if you're going to keep Priest kind of in that area, I think you're going to give him this win. Otherwise, it's just going to go to Logan Paul. So, yeah, I think Priest would have the more interesting story. I'd be okay with LA Knight, even though I'm not his biggest fan. And then, of course, there's always Logan Paul, in which... So, yeah, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. And, yeah, tomorrow I'll bring in my recaps for the early weekly events. That's Raw, NWA, AEW, Impact, and MLW. And, yeah, Saturday's the show. Can't wait. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.